Hello and welcome to the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. It's Wednesday. We're having wine. We're talking football. We're talking housewives. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yeah, but I'm not having wine. I just told Instagram we went live on there first. I am drinking a nice mimosa tonight. I was telling our Instagram fans here that it looks like I'm drinking a nice Chardonnay, but really Caitlin poured me a mimosa that is about 98% champs and 2% OJ, just the way I like it.
It's the only way to really drink a mimosa. So if you are listening to us, you heard that recipe correct. Yeah. 98% champagne, 2% orange juice. So
make sure you get that ratio right, people.
Welcome again to the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. This is episode 127. We're moving along. We're here with you live every week now, back at it again. Super exciting tonight. We are actually live on Twitter now too.
Yes.
So we're just hitting every spot for you guys.
Give us a platform and
we'll
go
on
live.
We'll take it. So we polled you guys this week. Thank you so much for participating. As always, though, feel free to ask us questions live during the show tonight. We do have our feeds up from all of our platforms. So go ahead, ask us some questions. We'll answer. We ain't afraid. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the polls. Here are the polls that we did ask you. We asked you 3. So which week 1 upset was more surprising? Washington over Philly or Arizona over San Francisco? Which QB's play is more worrisome for their fans? Cleveland's Baker Mayfield or New York Jets' Sam Darnold? And then finally, will you miss Denise Richards on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Yes. All right, so let's get into question number 1. Which week 1 upset was more surprising for you? Washington over Philly or Arizona over San Francisco? 61% of you, the majority, went with Washington over Philly. And I'm actually a little surprised by this. I'm surprised that you guys were surprised.
I went with Washington over Philly. What did you?
I went with Arizona over the 49ers.
Okay.
That was shocking to me.
Yeah. But you know what? San Fran, they're not starting the season out on a right foot here. They have a lot of guys banged up. I think they definitely could have used some of those weapons that are not out there for them on week 1 or in the weeks to come.
That's fair.
DeAndre Hopkins with his new team, the Arizona Cardinals, he went off. And that's going to be hard for teams to stop. But Washington over Philly, I mean, we recently gave our last week, 2 weeks ago, we gave our power rankings. Yeah. I think you and I both had the Washington football team as our 32nd ranked. And we did have Philly like in the middle of the pack, could potentially make the playoffs, be a wild card. And so that to me was ultra surprising, but that Washington defense looks nice.
Maybe and it's hard to say that their D-line came out strong and a little bit terrifying. I don't want Daniel Jones going up against that squad, especially coming off of a very good Steelers squad that we just went up against. But it was definitely surprising for sure. I just think the other one was more surprising. While I understand the Niners are, banged up in a couple of areas, I'm thinking of the Niners who just went to the Super Bowl against an Arizona Cardinal teams that's been, who the hell are they over the past couple of years? So that's where my mindset was at. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout, but I thought the Niners were going to dominate the game and it was going to be an easy win for sure.
Best division in football. Now you've got all 4 teams can truly compete for playoff spots.
Well, and I think that's it. That's the name of the game right now. They can compete and it's a little terrifying, but so I definitely thought that. And then when it comes to the NFC East, we're a division that clearly has been sucky over the past couple of years, but it's also competitive. The 4 of us with each other are very, very competitive. You could have put the Giants or the Cowboys there potentially beating the Eagles. You could have put Washington potentially beating the Cowboys and the Giants as well. So I think it can go anyway, but I mean, LOL to that one. Yeah. So I'll take that surprising upset. Yeah. So number 2, which QB's play is more worrisome for their fans? Cleveland's Baker Mayfield or the New York Jets' Sam Darnold? 52% of you, the majority, went with Baker Mayfield.
Majority at 52%, meaning we had a ton of votes on this, and you guys were almost split completely 50-50. I went with Baker Mayfield.
I think I went with Sam Darnold.
I think you did too. We were split as well.
And I've been saying this for a while now because I think that Sam Darnold is their franchise quarterback.
Mhm.
I don't think they're going to turn away from him, but that's worrisome for me that they're not going to turn away from him. So you are going to have a subpar, actually probably below subpar quarterback for the rest of your life. I think the Browns would turn away.
When you look
from
at it
Baker.
that way, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Browns would first turn away from Baker before the Jets ever turned away from Sam
They're
Darnold.
not going to.
But just as overall play, just for what I saw in week 1, I'm more concerned. I have more faith in Sam Darnold as a quarterback in the National Football League than Baker Mayfield. And I just want to point out that I don't have a ton of faith in either one, but I do slightly.
But you gotta have faith.
Slightly more with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then finally, moving over into Housewives, will you miss Denise Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? As we know, she is exiting. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. 58% of you said yes. And I'm a little shocked.
Listen, I said no.
I said no.
Yeah. I feel like my response could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited when Denise Richards was going to be on this franchise because it was like, ooh, this is like an actual celebrity, joining Housewives. Yep. This makes for, interesting television. But another reason why I would say no is because, listen, you sign up for Housewives and Good, Bad, Ugly, like you have to share your life with people. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to do so, then maybe Housewives is not the place for you.
And I think I just struggle with too, you've been a famous actress since you were very little. Did Housewives really set you over the edge that much? How did it really expose you more than you've already been exposed? Right.
You should kind of be used to it.
You should
Your life is not private.
So I think I don't like the way she handled things. Do I think she was bullied? 100%. Those women, I don't like them. They bullied my Lisa Vanderpump out. And I think that really shined this season. Or shown this season, whatever the word is. Yeah. But I just don't think, I think she brought a lot of unnecessary drama. Okay. And I just, for that reason, I'm out.
All right.
So those are our poll questions for the night. Yep. Again, feel free to ask us any questions throughout the show. We are here live with you, so we will answer as they come in.
Absolutely. Let's get into our big stories of the week in football. Of course, we are going to give you our week 1 thoughts, but we do want to start it first. And this is definitely key for people who play fantasy football. Mm-hmm. The majority of you guys, you do want to stay in tune with the NFL Week 1 injury roundup. And Caitlin and I said
a couple names on this list,
with not having a preseason, not having a full training camp, that being quarantined, it's going to be no surprise to me in week 1, especially, that we are going to see a lot of injuries. And unfortunately, this first batch that I'm going to read to, this one hurts me the most because these are the guys who are officially going to be out for the season. And to get yourself hyped up and ready, and oh my God, we actually get to play football this season, and you start week 1 and then you get injured and you're out for the season. It's a real low point, and I feel for those guys. So Indianapolis Colts running back Marlon Mack, he tore his Achilles in the first quarter of their game against Jacksonville. He was listed as the number 1 running back for the Colts.
We spoke about him a lot in the weeks going into the season. That was a tough one.
The Colts are not in a super bad position because now they're just going to have to rely on rookie Jonathan Taylor, who's my dark horse for offensive rookie of the year, and Nyheim Hines, who actually had a really good game. And I think he's going to be promising. I know some people picked him up in fantasy as well. If nobody picked him up in your league, I would say, or Jonathan Taylor, keep an eye out, because they're going to have to rely on these two guys now. Dallas Cowboys tight end Blake Jarwin, he tore his ACL in the game against the Rams. Their backup tight ends include Dalton Schultz and Blake Bell. These guys do not have that much experience. That's a huge loss for the Cowboys at the tight end position. Who knows? Maybe they should look into trading. Do you guys want Evan Ingram?
Yeah, seriously. We got a guy. I know a guy. Here's a guy.
Here's a guy, Chris Collinsworth.
Now here's a guy.
That's great. Okay, so other injuries, a little roundup. These guys are not out for the season, but they're definitely, and again, I just want to reiterate, there's so many more other injuries besides this, but these were some big name guys. The 49ers cornerback Richard Sherman, he has been placed on IR and expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a leg injury.
It's so funny. Every time they say get placed on IR, my mind automatically goes
that they're out for
done.
the season. Yeah.
it's a little bit of a spooky, but maybe
Listen,
yeah.
It is week 1.
It is.
And so if you're going to get hurt at any point, maybe have it be now and then, get back as quickly as you can and play as many games as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another thing for the 49ers, I said they're a little banged up right now. They don't have Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge offensive weapon. And now you've got tight end George Kittle. He is questionable next week with a knee sprain.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably end up playing, but
yeah.
it's something to keep an eye on. And especially, I know he was drafted in everybody's fantasy league. So if you have him, just you might need to replace him with another tight end for the week.
Yeah, I think he'll be good.
New York Jets running back Le'Veon Bell, questionable next week with a hamstring injury. I think he might miss a little bit of time.
I didn't see that until a couple hours later. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, yep. They got Frank Gore, old man Gore. Gore. They'll have to rely on him as well.
Gore. I'm surprised you didn't, when you tweeted that out, we didn't get more engagement. I thought it was a great tweet.
Thank you.
Katie's tweeting now for us.
I tweet. If you look at our page and you see tweets that look a little wrong and not Twitter
Katie's.
correct, they're mine. That's how you know.
She tweets now. She's going to put that on her resume. I tweet.
Yeah. It's a skill. All right. Miami Dolphins wide receiver Devontae Parker questionable next week with a hamstring injury. Dallas out. This is a rough one for the Cowboys as well. Dallas outside linebacker Leighton Vander Esch, broken collarbone, expected return for week 7. That's a big chunk of time he's going to miss.
Oh, that's one of those injuries too that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, that's a bad one. Kid's an all-pro linebacker. In my eyes, you're the leader of your defense, and that's a huge loss to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans wide receiver Michael Thomas
is
out indefinitely with an ankle injury. That definitely hurts people. I know people I know you're usually running back heavy in the first round of your fantasy draft.
People know him real quick.
Michael Thomas was still going in the first round of people's drafts as well.
That's just a big loss to the Saints.
That's a huge loss.
It really is.
Like a team that's going to be trying to make hopefully one last Super Bowl run before Drew Brees retires.
Such a big one. And the key thing there is that it's an ankle sprain. So if you are known to sports injuries, sprain is worse than a break sometimes. You almost hope that you break your ankle over a sprain. So it is a high ankle sprain, I believe. And it's just, that'll get you sometimes.
Again, listen, if it's going to happen, let it happen week 1.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Saints will be good enough without him that they can push into the playoffs and he could be there for them when that time comes. Or if not earlier than that.
Oof.
And then you have Steelers running back James Conner. He is questionable next week with an ankle injury. He battled injuries last season as well.
Happened very early on in the game. He made a couple plays for the Steelers against the Giants. And then he was over on the sideline all night. They kept filming over to him and just didn't.
Keep an eye on a lot of those guys because, again, being questionable, maybe they will play. Maybe they'll only miss one game. But you need to definitely, and your apps and everything like that you do fantasy on, they'll update you on everything like that. Just, stay aware of the situation. So, alrighty,
so that is our injury roundup, and hopefully it decreases week over week. We really don't want to report on injuries, but that's our job. We got to give you guys the news. So now we're just going to get into our, our thoughts from week 1. So we've got a couple of topics. We can talk about other things too. Organically can come up and whatnot. So let's start with, we were talking about fantasy a little bit with these injuries, but let's talk about some 2 studs that really stood out this week.
Yeah.
First guy was a no-brainer. He was flying off the board, top 10 for a lot of fantasy drafts. I heard a couple months back to take him, and I was really excited. And then as I inched closer to all 3 of my drafts, it was
shooting.
It was it was the known thing. So we are talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a running back for the Kansas City Chiefs and a rookie
running back.
Did amazing, 135 rush yards and 1 touchdown for the Chiefs. I know at the end of the game, it was they were trying to run him into the end zone. They kept stuffing him. So there was a little frustration near the end of the game, but the Chiefs obviously took the W on that one. And he just came out hot. Like everyone expected him to come out hot. Listen, we're dealing with a lot of rookies this season. Did I think Joe Burrow had a good first game as a rookie? Yes, but he didn't it takes a real solid of a player to come out hot as they were expected to. This kid did everything that people asked him to.
Yep.
He's one of those people we always talk about, those players that we're just excited to watch week after week, he is going to be someone that I'm excited to watch.
Excited, but not excited, because it's not like, oh, cool, the Chiefs have another like ridiculous.
No,
weapon.
I know.
So
it's like
kind of annoying in that sense.
Give it to the people who need it.
Especially considering like the Chiefs, Super Bowl champions, they drafted 32nd, and they had the last pick of the first round.
This kid,
and you get him. Like,
okay,
all right, whatever.
Cool beans. Cool. Wow. Wow, Chiefs. Wow. Not supporting other women, not supporting other football teams. No. And then I am super pumped about this one because guess who has him on her fantasy team? Your girl, because I'm good at fantasy football. We are talking about Oakland running back Josh Jacobs. Hell to the 93 rushing yards, 46 receiving yards, and 3. I repeat that, 3 touchdowns.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. He literally, I won my one. So I'm in 3 leagues. He won the one for me. Like I literally won it because of him.
Continues to be the continues to be the exclamation point on the fact that Kyler Murray stole Rookie of the Year from him last year.
Oh, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. And we've done it, week after week. We even went on the Talking Giants podcast to compare Daniel Jones's stats to Kyler Murray's, why, but then to make the argument for Josh Jacobs. Like a lot of people think that we're making the argument for Daniel Jones, which is fair, but we're actually making it for someone else.
Right.
Who should have deserved it.
Yeah.
Like it not should have.
AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs.
You really had other people on that list there. And like, I'm not on the Kyler Murray train. Maybe some of our listeners, are, oh my God, Kyler Murray, he's so good. Guess what? He's not. So I ain't about that life. All right. So obviously let's talk about one of our biggest upsets of the weekend, and we'll have a blast talking about this because it's 2 of our division rivals. So we're going to talk about Washington upsetting Philly 27-17. Whew, they were down 17-7 at halftime. And but serious though, Carson Wentz, 8 sacks.
Yeah, 8 sacks on Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz was making rookie mistakes though. He's entering his 5th?
I don't know how many years now. Around that.
Maybe around 5th season making rookie mistakes.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want our Philly fans that listen to us come after me with, pitchforks and be like, well, Daniel Jones threw that pick. Well, guess what? It's only his sophomore season, so he's going to make mistakes still. You have your quote unquote, you guys think he's your franchise quarterback. I've always said he is not your franchise quarterback. He cannot be making these mistakes still.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think, like, in a way, he is their franchise quarterback, but he's dealt with so many injuries. If you put the injuries aside, I'm still convinced that he is, but I'm not convinced that he will ever be good enough to, like, take you to the top. I know the Eagles won a Super Bowl. That was with Nick Foles playing quarterback.
Yeah, so let's bring it back, peeps.
I don't know, but listen, it's hard to know, like, do you give the credit to Washington defense being that good, or is it that the Philly offense is that bad? It's hard.
I don't think they're bad. I think they made mistakes.
Yeah.
That they should have not.
It's week 1, and to me, this is
and they were missing key players on their offense going into that game.
So yes, they were. They were just like the 49ers.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I was definitely surprised about the Niners loss, but I don't know if they are going to, hanging their heads embarrassed. I think the Eagles should be embarrassed by that loss.
Which is why I thought that was the more surprising one. Like, I felt like Philly losing to Washington was the more embarrassing loss. I really did.
If that was the question, I would have voted that.
Yeah.
But also too, like, we did give a shout out before to Washington's defense. They did come out strong. This is a team that's everyone's been shitting on for the past couple of weeks and months. Getting, us slating them as last.
Maybe Ron Rivera was just like a phenomenal hire. You got Chase Young, like, with the second overall
he had a great
as
game.
Advertised. So
great starting game for the rookie. Chase Young was definitely a good pick for them. We'll see. But then, you got like Landon Collins got a personal foul like within like 5 seconds of the game. You know what I mean? So it's just like, whatever.
He also got an interception.
Loser. But no, but like, all joking aside, like with that stuff, I just, another thing too with like Wentz that I'm not really like a big fan of. And I was watching like more like the recaps the next day too. He's a big quarterback. Like, he's a big kid. I don't like the way he falls sometimes.
He's not that big.
He's a big quarterback. Bigger.
Like 6'2", 6'3".
He's a stockier quarterback. He's one of your larger ones. Maybe not height, but stock-wise. You got to look at him. So watch him in slow-mo.
Like he's skinny.
He's one of our bigger quarterbacks out there. He's not a big Ben. I'm not comparing him to Ben Roethlisberger. No one's hit that big. But he is one of the stockier ones. I don't like the way he falls. So when he is coming to be sacked, he falls very awkwardly. Yeah. And that might be attributing to his injuries. I know one of his injuries was a cheap shot in the playoffs. That was not okay. But I think that he might be more prone because of how he attacks certain things. And that was something when I woke up on Monday morning watching a lot of the replays and everything like that. That was something because it was 8 times. So you saw him get sacked 8 times, watching him fall over and over. And I know this is just like a minor thing, but I don't like the way he does it.
Okay.
And it's just like a random tidbit there.
All right.
But okay, so let's move on there. So Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. It's a big train. It's a big train. I don't know if you hopped on it, but they lost. So
I mean, they played New Orleans.
I know.
I definitely thought the Saints were going to win that game. The surprising part about this was that Brady threw 2 interceptions. Yep. It was the first time he threw multiple interceptions in a game in I forget how long it was, but it was astronomically a long time ago.
I think people's were very excited in the beginning when he ran in for the first touchdown, and they were like, well, here we are. Yeah. Here we are in Tampa, and it slowly dwindled away from them. Yeah. But it was still a very exciting game to watch. It was exciting to see all of those players on the Buccaneers, even though I think Gronk was MIA.
Gronk had a very quiet game.
Very MIA. I think they said his name once when I was fully paying attention, and I was like, oh, he's on the Buccaneers. I totally forgot he went down there. Yeah. So that's just there. But so Brady loses, but Cam Newton wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're playing the Dolphins again. That's one of my. So that's how I feel. It's okay, Tampa Bay played the New Orleans Saints, one of arguably the best teams in football. Right. And then New England played the Miami Dolphins. I get it's a division game, whatever, but that's arguably one of the worst teams.
But that's one of those divisions that plays each other well.
No matter who it is. I can't say that I was I expected New England to win and whatever.
I think I was surprised with how well Cam Newton played.
But I also am not convinced that they're going to be a good team still, though.
No, I agree. I would like to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
And by a little bit more,
it's
15
just
more
definitely
games.
It's hard to tell because it's a completely and utterly different style quarterback that is now playing for you. It's a completely different offense.
Yeah. We gotta take it game by game. So I think week 1, we still have another game to talk about. But week 1 in general, we're just one game in. There's so much we need to see.
A lot of these teams, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or any team with a new quarterback, right?
Which
it's
is
way too hard to
the entire NFL is has a new quarterback.
It's super hard to predict how they're going to be.
Speaking of new quarterback, shout out to my boy Teddy Bridgewater. Just wanted to remind you that I love you so much.
Oh God.
And then Arizona, obviously we spoke about this earlier, beating San Francisco 24-20. So they were right there, so close. They're now 9-2 versus the San Francisco 49ers in their last 11 matchups.
When I saw that stat,
I was like, wait a minute. No.
I was shocked. Well, listen,
think about the Cardinals back in the day.
You also have to remember, it was only a couple seasons ago that the Niners weren't a very good football team. So I keep that in mind.
People don't forget. Some people do forget that.
9-2. That's 11 matchups. So, we're going back a couple of seasons when they weren't that great. But 9-2, I had no idea. That's very, very surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you're going back a couple seasons too, like Larry Fitzgerald in his prime. I still think he's in his prime because he's amazing. But think of Larry Fitzgerald, prime.
Quarterbacks, and
still you got.
I don't know, crazy.
Really is though. But listen, those. Oh, and just one minor thing too. I know the Giants lost, obviously, but here's the silver lining, the good, and the good.
Sure. Give me one.
Stop.
Give me one if there is one.
Okay, so Darius Slayton, 10 receiving touchdowns, the most since 2019 Week 5.
Yeah,
so in the
NFL.
2
in the game.
Good for him.
2 big ones.
Good for her.
Good for her.
I love it. Him and Daniel Jones it's a lightning of a partnership. It is beautiful, and we need to utilize Slayton more. And I know you wanted him to get a touchdown. He finally got that touchdown. It was like, give us more. Yeah. We want more.
He's a great player, and clearly
They are going to be a dynamic duo. Yeah. And I love it. And let's just advance on it a little bit more. I know Monday night was tough, but we've got Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's always wine, so it's okay.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
All right. Well, let's get into our week 2 picks plus 1 lock, 1 upset. Week 1 is always a little rough because again, we don't know what to expect of players,
we didn't do that
teams,
great with our
quarterbacks. I did okay. I went like 9 of 16.
So I think I went like
I've definitely
7.
went worse before. I would say for week 1, that's not too bad. Hoping to do better this week. Why don't you kick it off? Give us your lock, give us your upset, and give us your game winners.
All right. So again, sorry if this is a little out of order or wonky.
Oh God, we got to get on the same order so I can follow this.
Right? I know. Well, I don't know. Who do you have after the Thursday night game?
I don't know. Just
Giants?
go ahead.
Okay. So I am going, and I'll do it slow because I did it a little fast last week. I'm going with the Bengals, the Giants, the Falcons, the Packers, the Vikings, the Bills, the 49ers, the Rams, the Steelers, the Buccaneers, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Ravens, Kansas City. I don't know why I didn't call them the Chiefs. The Seahawks and the Saints. My lock is the Baltimore Ravens over the Houston Texans. Ooh. And my upset is the Atlanta Falcons over the Dallas Cowboys. I guess that counts as an upset.
That counts.
It was actually very hard to pick my upset because I didn't really pick a true upset, I feel.
Yeah, well, because I don't think there was
a lot of these games,
there really weren't a ton of options. I can say that. Yeah, you're basically going off of last season.
So yeah,
at this point.
The Falcons beating the Cowboys essentially is a
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And no, I didn't pick them because I don't like the Cowboys. I picked the Cowboys and the Eagles last week, so everyone can shut up.
All right, my picks, and we definitely have a crazy different order from each other.
See, I don't know why.
I was not able to follow you.
I got this on some like bootleg.
I always
website.
do it from NFL.com.
No, it wouldn't let me print from NFL.com.
Then you got to give me your bootleg website, and I'll do it from there.
See, I do it like this. Like I print out the schedule like this. Katie types it in her outline. So this just looks cleaner for me. And I highlight, I do some nice little things like.
Well, now it's your time to try and see what I did and go all over the place.
I'm trying my best.
All right. I took the Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I don't even know where I am. Okay.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, the Minnesota Vikings, the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Chicago Bears, the Arizona Cardinals, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, the Seattle Seahawks, and the New Orleans Saints. My lock, even though they are banged up, if they were to lose this game, it would shock the hell out of me. I'm going the 49ers over the New York Jets. My upset is Minshew Mania, baby. They won week 1. Jacksonville over Tennessee.
I think that's a great pick. And obviously I did not pick that, but Minshew Mania. Someone came out and said, so what was the year that what's his face was their quarterback and they were actually really well? Why we just spoke about him? Why am I blanking?
They had Blake Bortles, but he never did well. Ever.
No, not him. Sorry, the team.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
it was Blake Bortles. Yep.
What season was that? 2000.
It was like
what
2015, 16.
So someone came out with a bold ass comment recently saying that if Gardner Minshew was their quarterback in 2015, they would have made it way far and gone to the Super Bowl. And I was like,
listen,
that is bold. Somewhere Blake Bortles, who is scarily 28 years old like me, is like turning in his. I don't even know if he's on a team right now. No, he is. I found out. Who is he?
I don't know who he's with, so don't ask me.
I had to look it up the other day because it came up in conversation. I was like, Blake Bortles.
I forgot Andy Dalton was on the Cowboys, and I didn't realize. I remember until the Cowboys game ended.
Just remembered that now.
When the game ended and they went out to like shake hands and everything, I was like, oh yeah, Andy Dalton.
Huh. Isn't it crazy? We got to do an episode again where we run through the quarterback situation because the backups, the new starters, the fact that Jalen Hurts was inactive for the Eagles. Very upset about that. Like, who the hell is Carson Wentz's backup? No one knows. It's not Nick Foles anymore.
I can't remember.
But it's not. I thought it was going to be Jalen Hurts. Who knows? All right, so that is football, but don't you worry. We are getting our butts back to football in just a little bit.
Yep.
So we're getting into Housewives right now. So we spoke about it last week because it was hot off the press. We spoke about it in our polls, but Denise Richards is officially leaving Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yep.
2 seasons. So she made it 2 seasons. Listen, some ladies don't even make it 1. So hats off to make it 2. You made it to your sophomore season with them. So Andy Cohen recently said that they were actually negotiating a deal with her to come back, but they couldn't reach an agreement, and that's why she's leaving. I think that's complete bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What agreement are you reaching to?
Well, maybe it was just like, maybe she was like, no, I don't want to come back. And maybe Bravo and Andy were like, we want you to come back. We'll offer you this. And maybe she was like, no.
That's a fair point. So she's been in the hot seat, obviously, during season 10, which currently we are doing the reunion with them. So, the affair with Brandy and everything like that. And then Andy was like, whatever happened or didn't happen. And, she just didn't want to discuss it because of her family and kids. But I
think about that before you go on Housewives.
But again, that's what I brought up earlier. You've been in the spotlight. She's been a famous actress since she was 11, I think. She's
okay. So let's say she wasn't on Housewives, right? But she had an affair with Brandy Glanville.
It would be
that could make it to the press without 100%. Her being on Housewives.
Look at all the stuff that you hear about celebrities every day.
I will make the argument.
Tabloid.
I will make the argument that yes, it would probably still make tabloids, but her actually being on a television show where she would have to talk about it. And Andy would ask it at the reunion, and the women would talk about it in the interviews.
Right.
So I get that, but you got to know what you're signing up for, girl.
Look at the Kardashians. Maybe it's a good example.
They've had some low points.
And they've had to talk about it because they are signed on to that. And okay, listen, I'm not the biggest Kardashian supporter. I've watched the show, obviously. I think some of it's great television, to be honest. And then obviously sometimes they piss me the F off. I didn't cry I don't care that they're not coming back. But they have owned up to everything that family has done.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Emphasis on the ugly and the bad. There's been hard moments that they have had to share with the world.
Everything. And they've done everything.
Yeah.
And they've been on for 20 freaking seasons.
Good point. Good point.
I think it's a direct correlation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is. So, because they're clearly famous without that show.
Right.
They're going to go on to do bigger things probably.
They could have stopped doing the show 10 years ago.
Oh, 100%.
More than that and been fine.
Kris Jenner, do you want to manage me? Momager. I have the K. I can be a Kardashian. Yes. Caitlyn Kardashian.
Hey, me too.
We got 2 Ks right here. We could do it. We can literally do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so honestly, we obviously took your, polls earlier. I've been on my relationship with Beverly Hills, very similar with Orange County. It's a love-hate relationship. I'm very disappointed with Beverly Hills of how they treated Lisa Vanderpump in her last season. It came out this season clearly that the other women were clearly the bullies in the situation. I just said clearly 15 times in that sentence. But yeah, I didn't agree with Brandy coming back. I did not like her when she was originally on the show a couple of seasons back. And as much as I think Denise was bullied into a lot of stuff, she's a famous actress. She's been in the spotlight for a while. I don't particularly feel bad.
You have to have thick skin a little bit.
And I think the show is just going to do better off without her. And I am curious though, who is Brandy going to come back full time? I wouldn't be surprised. And I would actually kind of be pissed about that. But a lot of people do like her though, which frustrates me to no end as I sip my wine.
You sip your wine. I will get us into our second big story of the week in the world of Housewives. We're talking a little bit, and people can relate, during coronavirus, during this pandemic, it's hard times for a lot of people. We're talking about financial struggles for 2 different housewives currently going on. This first one, this is a bummer because
I know
it was a long time coming. But
I saw this on LinkedIn. And it made me. I said, you tell it, and I'll just you go.
After Sonia Morgan had finally reached a deal with Century 21 to carry her clothing line, the retailer recently filed for bankruptcy. Sonia, obviously, she said that she felt the rug had been pulled from under her and she can't even bring herself to go visit the store one last time.
I saw it on LinkedIn that they were going bankrupt. And the first thing I saw was Sonia.
Yeah.
They have one in Morristown. Do you think it's still open? We should go see if we can buy her clothes.
I don't know. And you know what I really liked about her line?
I loved it.
It was shockingly affordable.
And it was so cute.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of the stuff she made the women wear was a little crazy.
For older women, but there was stuff for girls our age. And
we gotta check their online store to see if they have some, but
maybe before they completely, maybe they'll just put everything super on sale.
But I said they have the Century 21 in Morristown. We should go.
Yeah. But
I was interested. feel so bad.
Sonia, apparently the thing she was most upset about, and it was elaborated in the articles that I was reading, is that she was going to partner with Century 21, having her clothing line in their stores. She was going to start taking people who, were in hard times, people who needed it. She was like, I was going to do this whole program where I was going to bring people in and do shopping sprees with them at Century 21.
Stop.
She's like, that's what I'm upset most about, is I was so excited to help people.
Well, so here's my suggestion if Sonia Morgan is listening. Yeah. If perhaps
she probably is, right?
Obviously, if by chance we do get to a point where there is like liquidation sales and you do have to sell things for like 90% off, maybe take half, 75% of your inventory and donate it.
Absolutely. I mean,
there's my suggestion to you. If you really did want to help people,
we want victories for Sonia.
We did. And we watched on this season how hard it was for her. Like she wasn't even seeing a profit on Sonia by Sonia Morgan or whatever. Oh yeah, by the way, Sonia by Sonia Morgan, they follow me on Instagram. So
but the episode where they're at Century 21 and her stuff is all out like on the floor and everything, like that was Sonia's shining moment.
I know.
And the women said it. They were like, this is like, see it. Yeah, like Sonia's beaming. Like we understand how big this is for her. So
especially because she's had so many like rinky dink things in the past where she's tried to pick it up off the ground. This one, I feel like she really put like all of her effort into and like all of her heart, and it finally got somewhere. And now it's not going somewhere.
Extremely tough.
Maybe she can sell it to another retailer.
It's got to be online business. I mean, people unfortunately aren't in shopping malls right now.
Listen, I have been in the B2B world for like almost 7 years now, or maybe like almost 6.5, 7 years. Like, you need e-commerce. Like there's no, like, it just is like and there's so many people, like, look at what Toys R Us did not survive because they never fully put into their e-commerce business.
Yeah.
Like, and they relied solely on in-store, and then in-store didn't do well because everyone wanted to buy online.
Yeah.
All they were doing in store was returning stuff. And then when they went into the store, it was icky. It was gross.
Well, hopefully she still has online sales then. I mean, I think she has she has online sales.
So I think companies like New York and Company, they went out of business, I think technically, but I think they're still doing like e-com. So like, you have to like, so it really, we have to look into it a little bit more, but also like understand, like a lot of companies file for bankruptcy and they're not fully going bankrupt. Correct. They do it as like almost like a saving grace, like shit, like we got to press pause real quick. So Century 21 has been around for a very long time. It's almost like, listen, like Macy's, I think like filed for bankruptcy a couple of years back. Like
considering what we're going through in the world, this could just be a pause.
A pause. It could be. So, I mean, listen, they were one of the reason why it freaks me out a little bit though for her though, is because she's one of the new lines they just brought on. So they could give her the cut real quick if they needed to like kind of save face, save inventory and things like that.
Well, maybe she needs to try to get into a store that's not necessarily like.
I think I just touched her butt. Sorry.
Maybe she needs to try and get into stores that aren't necessarily in shopping malls. I mean, I know Century 21 does have like regular stores outside of shopping malls, but I mean, I don't want to like maybe TJ Maxx, things like that.
Yeah. Drinking a Riesling right now.
Oh, Riesling. I don't drink Riesling a lot.
It's too sweet for me. It's too sweet for me.
Maybe I should. I like Riesling. I like sweet.
Yeah.
Cheers.
You should. And Wegmans has a lot of good, like, affordable Riesling. So they always do, like, their $6 wines for Wegmans card holders. I think I'll get you the Riesling. One's a Riesling.
Little side note. I know so I started a new job and my new office is sort of close to where you live. And so I was just introduced. I work with Caitlin's brother now, and he introduced me to your Wegmans the other day. And I felt like a goddamn kid in the candy store.
It's huge.
He was like, there's pizza over there. There's burgers over there. That's where the sushi is. The alcohol's over there. I was like, did you take me to Disneyland? Like, where am I? And we only have like an hour lunch break, but I want to be here for like all day.
So that is where I do my food shopping. I do Trader Joe's too. So I was introduced to Wegmans and Swiss cheese too. I love a good charcuterie board. Cheese and wine.
You fancy.
You fancy. So I was introduced to Wegmans in college because when we were on the road a lot for lacrosse, we'd stop somewhere easy for us to eat when we things like that. So right now the Wegmans near me doesn't have it because of COVID, but they usually have a hot bar, a salad bar.
That's what your brother told me.
They have Chinese food. They have a nacho bar. They have everything.
But they still have so much like food to go. Like it was perfect for, being in the office and having a quick lunch break. And
so that's like I was introduced to in college. So when they opened up the one near me, I was like, I love Wegmans.
Big Wegmans fan now.
Big
Definitely going to
They
hit it
have
up
great
a lot.
cheese. So every time I do like cheese plates for us, it's always from Wegmans. They have great cheese department.
Wegmans.
So we're giving a big shout out to Wegmans here. Because we're coming over for your Swiss cheese. Don't you worry.
All right. And then one more thing. We did say financial struggles for two different housewives. This is a lot. This is a rumor mill. We have no idea whether these things are true or not, but the rumors are swirling about Lisa Vanderpump, with a source claiming her empire is reportedly crumbling around her as she's reportedly tens of millions of dollars in debt and on the verge of bankruptcy.
I don't know if I believe this.
I know, exactly. So, but here we are reporting this.
She would be the first one to dip from like Vanderpump Rules, like being on air if this was happening. Like she's not like a flake business owner. She knows what she's doing. Could she, what does it say, empire in here? Because she owns an empire. She literally is.
Well, reports are that her restaurants are also struggling now. They have not reopened since the pandemic, even though most places allow outdoor dining, indoor dining to a certain capacity. I don't know what it's like where in California, where she is. An insider is claiming that Pump is closing for good. And
I don't think so.
Who knows? These are the rumors,
allegations, rumors, allegations. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what we got. And if we get anything further on that, that'll definitely be an interesting one to report.
Alrighty, so we are playing one of our favorite games tonight. I'm so happy Katie selected this as one of our games because I was just talking about it the other day because actually it's one of the shows right after Sports Center.
Oh, they definitely a part of my I mean, they definitely do it.
No, but they were playing ESPN. A different, but it was a different, it wasn't buy or sell. So someone does buy or sell.
Yeah.
But this certain TV show does a different one, but it's very similar. They do like wonky scenarios like we do. And I was like, they totally stole this from us. We've been doing it for 2 years. Someone's listening. Someone's on the inside. Someone is telling them everything. Yeah. So we are playing one of our favorite games. It is called Buy or Sell. And tonight's edition is called to jump to conclusion or not.
Such a good one for after week one.
Everyone's
people jump to conclusions.
Including my lovely friend Katie, who thinks the Giants are going to suck again this season. So.
Oh, I jumped to that conclusion a very long time ago. Not just,
at least she can. At least she can admit it. So we are going to. So we let me get my notes together as I'm spitting gibberish out to you guys. So we got 10 scenarios for you, and we are going to buy or sell them. And some of these are they're good. They're really good. I mean,
they all tie into things that have happened in week one that you might be speculating.
And what people have been chattering about. I've seen this on the Twitter. So
I tweet now. Did we mention that before?
It's like Katie's resume on LinkedIn. It's going to be proud of it. September 2020 to present. I tweet. That's going to like her latest
I text
job
Caitlin
opening.
every time I do it. And I'm like, I tweeted.
And like half the time, she's gotten so much better though. Like
I quickly learn.
So proud.
You have to make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes.
Some of them though, honestly. So a lot of the mistakes that Katie has made, I see people that use Twitter regularly make the mistakes.
That I've probably never known. I got a pro with me, so she can quickly teach me.
I do have to admit though, because I'll always admit my fault. So tonight we are going live on Twitter.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was having the hardest time hooking this up to Twitter and like doing stuff because you have to go through Periscope, which is a subsidiary of Twitter. Everything was like screwing up with this live stream thing, and it was just screwing up. And I was like, I can't do it; doesn't work. And my boyfriend asked, like, why don't you guys do it on your Twitter? I was like, I can't hook it up; it's not working. And he was like, Caitlin, like it's such a simple little and like.
The tweeter queen was dethroned.
And I was like, wow, I don't do this for a living and know what I'm doing. And I was like,
good times.
But I will always admit when I'm wrong. Always.
So shout out to Caitlin's boyfriend for getting us on the tweeter tonight.
Thanks, Chris. I hope you're watching. I also just sold out your name real quick. So hope you're watching. Okay, so we're going to go through our 10 scenarios here one by one. We're going to tell you if we're going to buy it or sell it. So the first one, the Kansas City Chiefs will have at least 15 wins this season.
Listen, we had to give record predictions,
and
right?
I looked back
but
at
now
mine.
week 1, seeing what they did, does that change at all? I'm selling this. I'm going to stick with what I feel they're going to do is 14-2, which is phenomenal.
Yeah,
like,
I gave them a 15-1 record, so I'm buying it. And I was very pleased with what I saw with them from week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how people are going to stop them, but I'm super excited to see them against the Baltimore Ravens in week 3.
And I'm very excited to continue to see Andy Reid with his face shield on.
Oh,
side note though,
he needs wipers.
No. Side note, he was the only coach to leave his mask on the entire time. The coaches of the NFL got ripped on. The NFL sent a letter.
They did.
I saw the letter. It was very mean. Well, actually, the Giants did a good job because I think it was Monday Night Football.
Sean McVay got ripped.
They all got, so they were.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, though, that face shield.
He was all fogged up.
He did a great job. He doesn't need to see for the Kansas City Chiefs to be
so much love for Andy Reid. And I shouldn't, because he was a longtime Eagles coach, but I have so much love for him.
I say it to Chris all the time. I'm like, I hated him when he was the Eagles, but now I love him. Now we love him. Okay, number 2. Tua will be Miami's starting QB after just 3 games.
Rough week 1 for Fitzmagic. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
I said he needed the magic. I told you he needed to put the magic on.
Okay, I'm selling this for only one reason. Tua was still technically on the injury report for week 1. I think they want to really be careful with Tua and make sure that he's completely and 110% healthy, not even 100%, 110% healthy and ready to go. If he was, I'd say I'm buying this, but I am going to sell it because of that.
I am going to sell it, but I'm going to give it like a 2 to 3 game buffer.
Yeah,
so I'm going to give you like
it's going to be early.
Week 5, week 6.
It's going to be as early as possibly it can be.
So definitely selling it because I think that's way too early. But hey, it can come as soon as week 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 3, Josh Allen will lead the Bills in rushing yards this season.
I wanted to buy it because it's so intriguing.
It's so intriguing, but I think I'm
going to sell it. I'm going to say it will be close. So last year I wanted to look at the Bills and their stat leaders for rushing. And Josh Allen was number 3 in rushing yards for the team. He finished with 500 something. Above him was Frank Gore when he was still with the Bills at 500 something. So he was almost second in rushing.
Frank Gore.
And then Devin Singletary was their lead rusher, only at 7 something.
It's wild.
So technically Josh Allen probably could do it. It's going to be close, but I am going to sell this.
I'm selling it too. And I think I have the same exact reason
Very
as you.
close. Very close.
It's close, but just reading that stat out loud, you're like, damn, I want my quarterback to do that. I want the Buffalo Bills quarterback to do it. I want to see Josh Allen do it. Like I would love to see it, but I'm going to sell it. Just like I want to put my realistic hat on. And I know I don't always have my realistic hat on, but for this one, I'm going to. Right. Number 4, which is such a killer. The Washington football team will not finish in last place in the NFC East.
Oh my God. I switched my answer back and forth so many times on this one, but week 1, I'm not going to overreact just yet. I'm going to sell it and still say that they will be in last place.
I 100% agree. I'm selling it. It's a fluke. Do not
ask me after.
They're not a good football team.
Just hold up. Ask me after week 3, and I might change my tune.
Well,
you're right.
What was it, like 2 seasons ago?
Listen to me. You are right.
Came in
they're not a good football team, but the Giants have the potential to be worse.
Ugh. Well, apparently after last week, the Eagles potentially can be worse too. And the Cowboys, all these interesting.
Everybody in this.
Who the hell is winning the NFC East? Someone tell us.
We're saying right now that the Redskins are finishing last. Right now, they're the only team that's 1-0. So who knows?
Anyone can finish last at this point. All right, let's move on to number 5. Baker Mayfield will not be the starting QB for the Browns next season.
I'm going to sell this only because it's going to be a Mitchell Trubisky situation. They drafted Baker number 1 overall. They will at least give him one more season after this, even though they should move on from him, they won't. I'm going to sell this.
So I'm buying it. And I agree with everything you just said. The only difference there for me, Mitch Trubisky isn't a problem. He's a problem playing wise. He's not a problem like he's an asshole. Baker Mayfield's an asshole. Everyone knows it. He's a prick. Goes out, talks so much shit. He's like the best player in the world. Sucks on game day.
He's been quiet lately.
Maybe.
I feel like when he came in, he was a little whatever, and I feel like he sucked last year. A little bit
of a whatever. Mitch Trubisky, you hear nothing from that kid. He's like, damn, I do
in
suck.
In
comparison. So I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm just not. It's just no.
Okay. All right.
And from what I said before, listen, Sam Darnold can suck for the next 12 years. The Jets are not letting him go.
Yeah.
Cleveland,
they still think they have faith in him.
They will literally get rid of your ass, Baker. So Baker. Okay. Number 6, Odell Beckham Jr. will play for a different team next season.
I'm going to buy this and say that he could be playing for a different team this season. There's no doubt in my mind that when that trade deadline creeps up, I could totally see Odell Beckham Jr. playing on a different team.
Listen, I bought it and I thought it was very interesting. So you guys saw in the game that like halfway through, like right before the first half, he had to go back in and go get IV. This is the 6th or 7th game where he's had to go into the locker room early to get an IV. He's literally
I don't watch the Browns that much.
He's literally the most dehydrated player. And this is, I'm listening because I'm listening to sports radio. I'm listening to ESPN in the morning or things. He's literally, and this is commentary from someone else, he's literally the most dehydrated person in the world. Or he's just trying to get away.
I just know how
mentally
Odell
there.
Well, maybe he just wants to make excuses for the fact that he only had 2 catches for 20-something yards.
Well, that was one of the biggest things too. Like, is he really exiting because he needs it, or is he exiting because
he's not
just
going to stick around and have his stats be that low? And he's going to
blame it on such a shame.
Blame it on everybody besides himself. And I'm going to say that he's not playing with a great quarterback, but he's going to definitely get out of there as quickly as he possibly can, I think.
Yeah, I agree. 7, Cam Newton will have more rushing touchdowns than any other quarterback this season.
I'll say my answer first, and then I'll let you go, and then I have very interesting stats. So I'm buying this.
Okay. So obviously you're going to have analytics behind it, but I am going to, I'm going to sell it because I think we are moving into a phase where running quarterbacks are the next gen. Like, it's like, that's the thing.
I hate it.
And it does. Someone said the other day that was the future for the NFL. And I said, hell to the no, cut back. It should not be the future, but you're looking at Lamar Jackson. You're looking at Kyler Murray, guys who love to run the ball.
There are still guys like Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold. You know what I mean?
Daniel Jones can run it into the end zone.
Of course he can run it, but he's a pocket passer.
But he can run it into the end zone, though.
Okay.
If that's what we're talking about.
Okay. Every generation gets more and more athletic. Right. Bigger, more athletic, faster, stronger, whatever. So yes, they're going to be able to run it into the end zone, but Daniel Jones is not a dual threat quarterback.
He's not. No, absolutely not. And I'm more so for but I'm talking like, so I just think that Cam,
who's going to have more if you're selling it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like Kyler Murray, I guess. Like, I don't know. If I had to give you a name, like right off the bat, I'll give you him. But I just don't. I think he has more competition now with the younger guys than he has in the past. Maybe that's my argument.
That's fair. So, okay, I'm buying it.
Okay. Let me hear the data, girl.
I was very interested to see how many rushing touchdowns the quarterbacks who are known for running the ball had last year. I was shocked to find out that Josh Allen had the most. He had 9 rushing touchdowns, which was 8th most in the league, not amongst quarterbacks, amongst all players. So running backs included. Yeah. Lamar Jackson had 7. Deshaun Watson had 7. Kyler Murray had 4. Russell Wilson surprisingly only had 3. In his career, the most rushing touchdowns Cam Newton has ever had was 14 in 2011. He also, the second most was 10 in 2015.
Okay.
That's more than all of these in those 2 seasons, right? And he already had 2 in the first game.
And
there's not a lot of offensive weapons on New England. I also think Cam Newton is a ball hog.
He is. Selfish mother freaker. Sorry, I won't curse.
So it's not like they have a Saquon, Ezekiel Elliott, somebody to, when they get in the red zone, to punch it in.
Christian McCaffrey for how long?
Exactly. So. I think Cam Newton is going to be the guy in the red zone when they want to run the ball. They're just going to let him run it.
I think that's a very fair point. And I agree with you being a ball hog. He's so selfish. He's the worst person in America.
At the end of the day, as long as you're going to score touchdowns, your teammates aren't going to complain. But it was not shocking to me whatsoever when I watched him on Sunday, like have those rushing touchdowns. I was like watching and be like, Cam's going to take it himself. Cam's going to take it himself. And sure enough, he was. So
when you look at it that way, I definitely get it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8, DeAndre Hopkins will lead the league in receiving yards this season. I changed mine last minute because of some injury.
Yes.
So
I'm buying it because Michael Thomas is hurt.
Same.
Julio Jones could definitely take that top spot. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
if
like,
he doesn't piss me off like he normally does.
I just think, DeAndre Hopkins already showing week 1, game 1. And I know we're not trying to jump to conclusions here after one game. But to see him,
Michael Thomas missing like 3 games, though, look at that. Think of that.
You would almost think DeAndre Hopkins playing on a brand new team and a brand new offense with a brand new young quarterback
and someone who's
that maybe
been in
they
the
wouldn't
league.
be in sync. But he finished with 100+ receiving yards, looked phenomenal. So I am going to buy this.
I'm buying it as well for literally the same exact reasons. And then number 9, the Jets will fire Adam Gase mid-season.
I'm buying this. If they did, if I sold it, they would fire him at the end of the season. But knowing the Jets, I'm buying it because they do things like ass backwards and they will fire him mid-season.
I bought it literally 100%. Like if you lose next week, you might be fired, to be honest. So I really would not. I wouldn't even. It wouldn't even. Is it allowed?
It's still, to me, I thought.
Can you not? What is the rules, or what is like? Is there something in their contract like we can only wait until like mid-season to fire them?
I think you can fire them at any time.
Obviously, if something like
I think you could still fire them at any time.
Listen, Adam Gase, you better watch it next week.
I always thought, even when it happened, like I thought it was the strangest hire because he was coming from a Miami Dolphins team where he had no success with the Miami Dolphins.
The hashtag fire Gase has been trending for like 3 years. Yeah, I'm kidding. What is it, the second season? I don't know. I don't know. How long has he been there? And then here's another one with coaches. The Lions will fire Matt Patricia by the end of the season. Oh, sorry, at the end of the season.
I'm buying this, and I just think it's better for Matt Patricia at this point to go back to being a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I am actually selling it. I think that we spoke about this a couple weeks back. That we think he deserves one more season. And maybe my mind was more so at if they have another poor season, maybe it's one more after that. It's the Lions. He's not really given much right now. I don't know.
But at least being a defensive genius that you are, like, at least have the defense be playing at a top level. Like, I don't know. I think he
might be one of those coaches though that slips under the radar, that they don't have winning seasons, but they keep him because it's stability.
You see
that team might need stability.
You see so many coordinators then get head coaching jobs, not be successful as a head coach, and then go literally, if Matt Patricia was fired today, he'd be the hottest prospect. Like, oh my God, we got to be our defensive coordinator.
Right. Okay, but so they've kept Matt Stafford for a gazillion years, and maybe they're happy with the stability there. Maybe they're going to keep, Matt Patricia because of that same stability. They're going to fix everything else, but they're going to keep the quarterback that they still have faith in, that I don't agree with. But
I do.
I know you do.
But the offense is weak. So let's get the defensive guy out of here at head coach. Matt Patricia is a defensive guy. Yeah. Let's get the offensive guy in here.
I think it's fair, but I think they're a team where they're more so okay with not making rash decisions. It's not a rash decision.
They've given him a chance,
but I think they might just be stable with like, let's keep this head coach here. And that's where my mind's at. So that's why I'm selling it. So.
All right, good game. It was a lot of fun. And again, a lot of people jump into conclusions after week 1. Everybody take it easy.
Obviously.
Take it easy. So
what you doing?
Time in our night where we are going to get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, life, wine, whatever you got going on, girl. Just get it off your chest. So why don't you start us?
Okay, so mine is just super funny and like super quick. So please, everyone, go to Barstool on Twitter, and I'm sure it's in other places too. Oh, actually, the Panthers actually tweeted something really funny about it too. So it does have to do with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah,
it has to do with Robbie Anderson and
New Carolina.
I know.
Panther.
So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That's a New Carolina Panther. There's a video circulating of the game on Sunday. I'm not even going to be able to go. It makes me crack up. Katie doesn't think it's that funny. I think it's hilarious. Their mascot is in the stands. So if you don't know, they are the Carolina Panthers. So
which he knows,
I know,
obviously.
but still. So their mascot is a panther, and they call him Sir Purr, which I think is hilarious. But he was walking around the stands, and he looks up, he goes, "What's that bear doing there?"
In all fairness, it looked like a
bear. Right. But like, it's clearly a bear just wouldn't be in the stands.
And
his teammates are like, "What? Like, what are you talking about? That's Sir Purr." And he's like, "Huh? How do you say that? What? Huh?" And he's just like, they're all like, "It's Sir Purr." And he's like, you just like go up to him and you're like, "What's up, Sir Purr?" And like all of that. Okay, so simple, get it off my chest, but it's freaking hilarious. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I think right now, like with how crazy the world is, how crazy week one of football was, like as stressed as football gets us. Like I literally peed my pants. I thought it was the funniest video I've seen in a while, like literally talking about a panther in the stands, a mascot, thinking it's a bear. Go on Barstool Sports, their like Twitter. Again, the Panthers tweeted something out too, a really funny meme about, you know that meme where it's like the guy and the two girls, and he's like, it's that famous like meme where it's like, it's his girlfriend and he's looking at another girl.
Yes.
Basically, it's him. He's the guy and he's looking at the other girl, and it's like Bear and like Sir Purse, the other girl, going like, it gets me. Social media gets me sometimes, but I thought it was hilarious. Is go on Barstool has it, so there's an easy call out there. Yeah. Go on Barstool. So funny, Sir Purse. Shout out to Sir Purse. I didn't know that was his name.
Of course, there was no way we would know that name.
I think it's hilarious. What's that bear doing over there? Hilarious. So just quick, funny. Keep it lighthearted. It was a stressful week of football. So
you know what? I'll keep mine super short too. I was gonna elaborate on some other things, but it'll still be able to do it next week. It'll still be relevant. So I'll quickly say that, especially after seeing week one, I don't feel I'm jumping to conclusions here. Because tight end Mark Andrews for the Baltimore Ravens, he had a great season last year. He really did. And in your fantasy drafts, like he was definitely a top 5 tight end.
Oh yeah. Had my eye on him.
But everybody's known that like the tight ends have been Kelsey and Kittle.
Yeah.
Like those are your top 2, and then the tier below it is the tier below it.
Right.
I think Mark Andrews is going to, as good of a season as he had last year, this is going to be his coming out season in the way that George Kittle had his coming out season. And I think after this season, we are then going to say that there are 3 really legitimate tight ends in this league. Right. Kelsey, Kittle,
him being
and
one
Mark
of them.
Andrews.
I think it's a great,
I think
it's a great take. Yeah.
He could end up with the most touchdowns on that great Baltimore Ravens team, and he's going to
have a good tight end like that. It gives you chills. It gives me.
If you have Mark Andrews on your fantasy team, I think you're going to be very, very, very happy. So that's my quick get it off my chest. This is the coming out. I call it the coming out season for George Kittle. I'm calling the coming out season for Mark Andrews.
Katie is really good with those tight ends. Are you going to say that Smith is its coming out season for the New York Giants?
Caden Smith, I'm all for you, boy. I am all for you.
Oh, side note too, I did tweet at Blake Martinez and I said, I'm a big fan of Blake Martinez, and he liked it.
Yes, he did.
Big Blake Martinez fan.
New York Giant and a captain.
Killed it in the game. He was all over the field tackling everyone. That's what we need you to do every week for us. So thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We had so much fun with you.
Mimosas. That was a fun little change there.
We were drinking. Little pause there.
A lot of pulp.
There is. It was freshly squeezed. Orange juice.
Thank you
for Princess Katie. So, but thank you guys so much for joining us. As we spoke about earlier, Beverly Hills is on their reunion. It's part 3 tonight.
Yes.
Part 3 gets a little,
it's always like, okay,
it drags it out. I'm done with all these older women yelling at each other.
I'm out.
Tap out tonight at 9 p.m. So we're right there if you're watching us live.
Yes.
Real Housewives of New York reunion part 2 tomorrow. So we did catch one last week, and again, I don't know if I'll make it to a part 3.
I think we'll definitely eventually, once it's concluded,
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about recap.
It. We've got a lot of thoughts. We got a lot of feelings. So that's tomorrow at 9 p.m. And then Potomac still going strong with the regular season Sunday at 9 p.m. For Foodie Ball. Katie's got a quick announcement here real quick. And don't think we didn't forget about this, ladies and gentlemen.
College football. I know we don't always talk about it too much, but this is definitely a very interesting year with COVID and everything happening like that. College is not just athletically, academically having students there, not having students there. The Big Ten, after first originally announcing that they were not going to have football, have announced today that it will resume football on the weekend of October 23rd and 24th.
They're playing.
They're
back. I'm back.
I mean, listen, there's been a lot of smaller schools that have been doing it. And I guess they feel maybe comforted if things are going successful.
It's been going on for about 2-3 weeks now.
But it's definitely good for the players who, need to be looked at before potentially going into the NFL
so
draft.
Obviously Clemson played last week. You have bigger teams coming out this weekend.
Playing.
Yeah, Alabama comes back next weekend. So we're getting closer and closer. So I knew that they were gonna crack eventually and come back. Yeah. So we'll see. But it's still like we're over a month out. So that's a lot. A lot of football is going to be played before they actually start playing. But that's their own decision. But for the NFL week 2, Thursday night football. So tomorrow night you'll catch the Bengals against the Browns.
I want to say I went back and forth, by the way, on picking that game.
It was easy for the Bengals.
Who'd you pick?
The Bengals.
And I picked the Browns, but I went back and forth.
I know.
I almost gave Browns like a home field advantage, even though that doesn't exist right now.
I know. And then Sunday night football, you have New England at Seattle, which would be another great game. And then this great primetime matchups here. And then,
no, I think Monday night football is a little random.
But it's still always fun to watch the New Orleans Saints and they're facing the Las Vegas.
Oh my God, I put on our notes New Orleans at Oakland.
But I checked myself.
Wow.
I know.
I'll make that mistake until the day I die.
Apparently the first 2 seconds of Washington against Philly, the commentator said the Redskins. Yep. And he did
really?
Yeah. But listen, it's gonna happen.
It's okay.
People
shouldn't
forgive
triggered. That.
Yeah. People should forget
those
that.
Are honest,
people don't forget.
Those are honest mistakes.
Oh my God, they've been the Redskins for 8 gazillion years. Yeah. Get over it. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and end here, but thank you. And
thank you.
Good night.
Good night.